Hello, thank you for joining us today. We are excited to be here. I would like to introduce my esteemed colleague, Dr. Jan Greer. My name is Dr. Wendy Tremaine. We are both doctoral capstone coordinators for the USAHS Dallas campus OTD program. We are both investigators for this study, and we both have a background in pediatric occupational therapy. The title of our research project is Exploring Tools and Resources Needed for Competent Capstone Mentorship in Occupational Therapy Doctoral Education. The IRB classifies our study as exempt. We would like to note that the information we're sharing today reflects preliminary results. The American Occupational Therapy Association, also known as AOTA, has a doctoral capstone research agenda that was developed to, quote, define, refine, and validate occupational therapy best practice models. The research agenda is organized into 5 categories, and our study fits under the category of faculty and mentor development and resources, as indicated by the arrow. A little background information. Occupational therapy has 2 points of entry for the profession: an entry-level master's degree or an occupational therapy clinical doctoral degree known as the OTD. Both of these professional tracks require fieldwork experiences. The differentiation between the two is that the OTD requires a capstone project and 14-week capstone experience. The Accreditation Council of Occupational Therapy Education, or ACOTE, is our accrediting body. An ACOTE requirement is that OTD students must collaborate with a capstone mentor as part of the capstone process. The mentor has to have expertise in the capstone topic area. The capstone mentor's role is to support the personal and professional growth of the mentee throughout the capstone process. The OTD program has a responsibility to provide resources to the mentor, facilitate an affirming mentorship experience, support positive student learning outcomes, and enhance relationships with our community partners. The growth of OTD programs nationwide substantiates the need for our study. As of 2023, there were 219 OTD programs in various stages of development, representing more than 32% of the occupational therapy programs across the country. The increasing number of OTD programs highlights the need for identifying growing numbers of potential mentors and for providing these individuals with resources to provide effective mentorship. We reviewed the existing research literature on mentor resources. The literature describes OTD programs' current resources as a series of 3 free professional development courses with a sample size of 1. Further compounding the issue, each OTD program develops their own mentorship guidelines, potentially creating inconsistencies across programs. The only mentorship criterion is documented subject matter expertise in the student's selected capstone topic area. Current USAHS capstone mentor resources are first, a mentor agreement form signed by the student, the mentor, and the doctoral capstone coordinator. The form outlines the course sequence for our capstone process, as well as the mentor and mentee expectations. There is a doctoral capstone mentor handout that outlines the mentor's role and responsibilities, mentorship meeting talking points, a mentorship timeline, and a list of supplemental resources. Thirdly, there are meetings with the student, mentor, and the doctoral capstone coordinator to review role expectations, the capstone process, and to address any questions. After reviewing the existing literature, we identified the problem that there is a lack of structured resources available to promote mentor competence and confidence in supporting the personal and professional growth of the OTD student mentee. The purpose of our study is to explore what information, tools, and resources the capstone mentors perceive as beneficial to facilitate their ability to provide effective, competent, and confident mentorship to occupational therapy clinical doctoral capstone students throughout the capstone process. We developed an anonymous survey in SurveyMonkey that has a mixed methods design. The quantitative portion asks participants to select or rank order a list of answer choices, indicate their response on a sliding scale, or provide a numerical answer. For example, how many OTD Capstone students they have mentored to date. The qualitative portion of our survey included individualized short responses to open-ended questions to provide additional details or explanations. For example, asking if they could change one thing about OTD Capstone mentoring, what would it be? Recruitment was completed by convenience sampling. The sources that we used were a list of current or former USAHS Dallas OTD Capstone mentors. We also distributed our survey invitation to the members of the Texas Doctoral Capstone Coordinator Consortium. The email invitation was sent by a neutral individual to mitigate bias either for or against participation. Our inclusion criteria was that the individual needed to be a former or current mentor for an OTD Capstone student from any accredited OTD program. Our data collection involved a 24-question anonymous survey in SurveyMonkey asking about mentoring experiences and resources. We downloaded the information from SurveyMonkey to Excel and plan to analyze the data through methods such as descriptive statistics and Excel features. Our survey is ongoing and will close in mid-November. I would now like to turn the presentation over to Dr. Greer.
Thank you, Dr. Tremaine. So, to date, we've had 33 responses from Capstone mentors from 7 states. The largest number of respondents reside in Texas, but we also have representation from Florida, Illinois, Louisiana, Michigan, Montana, and Virginia. The primary profession of the mentors is occupational therapists, although mentors do not have to be occupational therapists. Within the profession of OT, we've listed their areas of professional expertise with the top response being pediatrics. Outside of occupational therapy, other participants practice in areas of physical therapy, special education, nursing. They're business owners and nonprofit organization directors. Our participants are employed in a variety of settings, with 38% teaching at an institution of higher learning. And the second largest group is tied for school system and outpatient clinics at 26% each. A little over 40% of the respondents have worked in their field for over 21 years. As you can see, approximately 25% have worked in their field for 16 to 20 years, a little over 20% for 6 to 10 years, and a little over 10% for 11 to 15 years. Since the requirement is for the mentor to have expertise in the student's capstone topic area, we expected that most mentors would have worked in their field for many years. We asked about the incentives for mentoring capstone students since mentors volunteer their time to do this. When asked why, the participants indicated the number one answer choice, satisfaction of helping a student in their professional journey. This is followed by direct benefits to their organization, the opportunity to collaborate with a university, receiving an honorarium, and lastly, receiving continuing education units. We want to know the mentor's perception of the student's ability to describe their capstone project. And 75% said that the students could both articulate the capstone process and clearly describe their project. The role of a capstone mentor is to share their expertise with the student, to partner with and guide the student's planning of the project, and to give feedback along the way. So we asked if they felt their mentorship was appropriately utilized. And a little over 84% said that the students do appropriately utilize their expertise. However, 12.5% felt the students underutilized their knowledge and experience, and even 3% said the student overutilized. So open-ended questions probed why this may have been the case. And according to the mentor's comments, their perspectives were that students didn't understand the role of the mentor. didn't understand the value the mentor brought to the capstone process, or there was a lack of project clarity or direction on the part of the student. We then asked the mentors which parts of the USAHS capstone process were unclear to them. And on a positive note, a little over 40% indicated that none of the parts of the capstone process were unclear. However, areas for improvement are revealed as approximately 30% said the scope and sequence of the capstone courses are unclear. The requirements of the student's capstone project and deliverable are unclear, and the requirements of the student experience were unclear to them. An example how we'd use these results is that the participants indicated the scope and sequence of the courses is unclear, yet we have this information in our mentor agreement form. This lets us know our current way of communicating this information is not as effective as we want it to be. Since areas of the process are not always clear to our capstone mentors, we wanted to know what instructions or resources did they receive. And again, a positive finding was that over 50% reported they received the mentor agreement form and met with the student and doctoral capstone coordinator. And while this is a good start, it's clear this is not enough. So we asked what additional resources would help them provide more effective, competent, and confident mentorship. This was not an open-ended question, although participants could write in their own ideas under the other response. The top response was a video library of 1 to 2 minute explanations about various mentorship topics. The participants also desire a description of the level of rigor expected for the paper and project. And other resources the participants express would be helpful include periodic meetings with both the DCC and the student to ensure everyone's on the same page, and even a mentoring workshop. The response that was written in is that our mentor agreement form doesn't have enough detail or guidance for the mentor about the capstone process. We wanted to know what actions students could take to promote a successful mentoring experience, and open-ended responses included strong planning and communication, frequently asking questions and asking for feedback, initiative and motivation, and being organized and prepared for their regular meetings. And then we asked if they could change one thing about the mentorship experience, what would that be? Their responses highlighted the lack of student communication, the lack of role guidelines and expectations for the mentors, the lack of clear directions on the process, and vague expectations for project rigor. We're very thankful for the responses of the participants that give us direction on where to go next. Future directions that we've discussed include the development of tools and resources for USAHS OTD capstone mentors, which could be shared across the 5 campuses. We may expand on mentorship resources that would be appropriate to include in the iLife library, and potentially, we may develop a short course for our national organization, AOTA. And we're currently seeking IRB approval for a second related study. And that study, if approved, will involve conducting focus groups with our faculty mentors to expand on the ideas about the resources that would help and allow them to feel like they're providing more effective mentorship. Here is a list of our references. And we thank you. We really appreciate your time attending our presentation today. And we ask if there are any questions.
That was wonderful. I love that you're doing that assessment of that, because I think the more that we can clarify for our students what needs to be done, and our obviously our faculty of what needs to be done, it's going to be an overall better experience for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So important. It really is. It's so important. I mean, and what you found was very good. And that's what I find too in iLife, that a lot of faculty just feel as though there's just unclear expectations, and it could be a communication channel issue, or it could be the actual lack of benchmarks and things that are really solidified in place. So it's good that you're doing that to find out the specifics and address it.
Yeah, and we hope with the focus group study that we can even nail down some details for those specific topics for the resources that we hope to provide.
Marty asks, is this information applicable to all OTD programs, including PPOTD?
We didn't have the mentors specify if the students they mentored were OTD students or PPOTD students. The literature is pretty consistent that resources either don't exist or are just still in the development phase, and that we need to continue to work on that. So maybe we can collaborate with our PPOTD instructors about what they're using too, that may be different than what we're using.
Anybody else have any questions? Or even comments about this, or?
I may have missed this. Are any of the mentors past students who performed really well on their capstone? Or maybe possibly a consideration for if they're doing, small group learning sessions to have that more communication that they can be involved. The ones that were really organized and strong and just met the mark.
We don't know if there's any former students because it was anonymous. But what we have incorporated is we had students who had just completed their capstone do a panel with our students in their first term to kind of share tips and tricks and what they wish they had known. And then we also had students this past week, they had to attend 3 presentations for students that are getting ready to go out on their capstone. Again, for first term students. And I think a lot of light bulbs went off because we received a lot of feedback that now they have a better understanding of the expectation and what a capstone is supposed to look like.
I love that they got the helpful tips and then they actually got to see it come to fruition because that's eye-opening.